Hello there, it's midday. This is the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. The news is live from our studios at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. It's also live across the country on our partner stations globally. We are live on citynewsroom.com. My name is Ni Lati. This afternoon, I'm here with
Inu Safo.
And coming up in the next 60 minutes, heavy security presence at the University of Ghana on reopening day over the accommodation regarding students of the Commonwealth Hall. We are live on campus for update. Also coming up, 8 students of the Chiana Senior High School dismissed for making derogatory comments against President Akufo-Addo. We've got reactions from stakeholders in the educational sector. Still ahead in the bulletin, Assistant Headmaster of Ekumfi Accra Methodist Basic School shot in the central region more as he is currently receiving treatment. And later, private schools in the country push for a specialized office under the Education Ministry following the increasing number of private schools in the country. All that and more here on Citi Prime News, which is live across the country on Tumpani Radio, 88.5 in Nadoli in the Upper West region. Recast 92.1 FM in Bongo Namo in the Upper East region, Nostar Radio 92.1 in Tamale in the Northern region. If you are listening to us in the Northeast region, welcome to Nobia FM 98.1 in Nalerigu, Western region. This is Beach 105.5 FM in Takrade. In Ashanti region, we are live on Focus 94.3 FM on the KNUST campus in Kumasi, and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. In the Volta region, this is Sela Radio 97.1 FM in Dabala and Holy FM 98.5 in Aplao in the Volta region.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Indeed, this is the Citi Prime News, updating you with all the running stories and connecting you to the newsmakers. This afternoon, allow us to begin with education because there is heavy security presence at the University of Ghana campus. On the first day of reopening for students, the police officers have been deployed to prevent continuing students of the Commonwealth Hall from entering their previous hall. And we'll be going live shortly to the University of Ghana campus and speak with our correspondent on the ground to assess the situation. But just as you may be aware, the University of Ghana is making amendment to its residency as far as students of the Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah halls of residence are concerned, because the students there have been asked to, move out of the hall in order to safeguard the safety of students following clashes between the two halls involved. My colleague Akosua Ochre is currently on the University of Ghana campus, and she joins us on the line with more updates. Well, Akosua, tell us what you see and what's the mood like on the University of Ghana campus.
Thank you, Nee. So I'm currently stationed at the University of Ghana campus, as you rightly said, standing right in front of the Commonwealth Hall. Now, we know that in the past weeks, the Commonwealth Hall has been in the news, and of course, the management of the University of Ghana, because of residential issues. Now, as we know, the University of Ghana decided to implement some new residential, should I put it, regulations indicating that continuing students of the Commonwealth Hall and the Mensa Sabah halls, where in the past we have seen a number of rioting and violent activities in these two halls, continuing students will not be allowed back into these two halls. And so the University of Ghana today, being the reopening day for all students of the University of Ghana, are supposed to report to the campus of school. Now, the university is indicating that it starts today. That's the new regulations for the residential issues starts today. And so continuing students are back to school, but they are not supposed to go back to the Commonwealth Hall and then the Mensa Sabah Hall. But today, as I'm speaking, a number of these continuing students are standing right in front of the Commonwealth Hall, pushing to get access into the hall, but have been prevented by a security deployment that has been arranged to man the hall. So as I'm speaking and see a number of police officers here. Some of them are interacting with the students to calm down, while some of the students are also frustrated, and they still insist that they want to be here because on Friday, some 8 students went to the court to secure an injunction to prevent the University of Ghana from implementing this new directives. But then the University of Ghana is also indicating that they already implemented this before the injunction was secured. And also, some 83% of the continuing students who are not allowed to enter the halls again have accepted to go into different various residential halls to be part of those halls and no longer the Commonwealth and Elemental Saba. But these 83%, the students I have interacted with here on campus at the moment are saying that there is nothing as such. None of the students, that is the continuing students, have agreed to be a part of the other residential halls. And so that's exactly what is happening here. A little bit of confusion. And then we are trying to speak to the management of the university to give us some answers on this particular issue.
Well, Akosia, as you speak, you are currently at the Commonwealth Hall. Let me find out from you if the situation is the same at the Mensa Saba Hall.
So we are yet to go to the Mensa Saba Hall, but we are getting indications that most of the students, as the continuing students, have come to the Commonwealth Hall. They are present here, but there aren't really a number of students at the Mensa Saba Hall. But we are yet to get there to find out what the situation there also looks like.
Well, so if you say heavy security presence on the campus, paint a picture for us. How many police officers are on the grounds? What equipment are they holding and all that?
So I can count a number of police officers, numbering about 30. A number of them are also in police uniforms as usual. They are holding their pistols, and some also sitting on their horses, making sure that they are doing what they've been mandated to do. That is, ensure that the continuing students do not have access to the residential hall, that is Commonwealth Hall.
But we know that the students are opposed to this particular directive today as they gather on campus trying to enter the halls of residence, and they have been met with this particular police presence. Are they saying that they are still going ahead to ensure that the university management reverses its decision? Is that the explanation they are giving you today?
Well, like I stated earlier, I haven't spoken to them yet. But a statement released by the management yesterday, first of all, in the statement, they issued a stern warning to the continuing students not to invade the hall, because they were getting some reports through social media that these continuing students have planned to mass up at the various halls where they've not been allowed to gain access to. So they said, the management said, that they have received those reports, and then they are issuing a stern warning to them not to invade the place. Now, the school management has not indicated that it will not comply with the court directives. But what it indicated is that when the court order was secured, they had already gone into an agreement with some 83%, as I indicated earlier, and they have agreed to be part of other residential halls. And so they have not stated specifically that they would defy the orders of the court.
We are supposed to report to school today. We got here in the morning, and school security are saying that they will not allow us to enter into the hall.
When you say school security, have they been deployed by the school authority?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think the police are also assisting them to do that. Okay.
So why are they preventing you from entering?
I know most of the things are already in the news already about issues that has happened in the past, and but recently what happened was that the old vandals came together and we took the issue to court, and were able to secure an injunction preventing the university for implementing the new residential policy that they want to embark on. So we got here this morning because the injunction says that the status quo must remain until the substantive case is heard in court. So that is why we are here this morning, because on Monday, lectures are starting. Me, like, as I'm standing here, Monday, 11 o'clock, I have lectures. So we need to move in with our things, get settled before we go for lectures on Monday. And that's the main reason why we came here this morning, and they are preventing us from entering the hall.
Okay, yesterday the statement released by the management indicated that about 83% of the continuing students who are not going to be allowed back into the halls have accepted to be residents in other residential halls. So if 83% of you have accepted to be in those halls, why are you here?
That is not the truth. The reason is that the way they brought about the whole thing, it was like a threat. They said you accept or you reject. If you reject, you become a non-resident. And it's like they pushed the whole thing to our throat.
Okay, what level are you in?
Level 400.
Okay, so you'll be completing this year?
Yeah.
Okay, you were in Commonwealth?
Yes, I was in Commonwealth Hall.
Okay, today's your reopening day?
Yes.
So you should be expected back into the halls?
That's it. But we came here and then the security says that they were not allowing us to go inside. So we just have to hang around and see how things will happen.
How frustrating is this? Because
as I'm speaking to you right now, yesterday I didn't sleep the whole night because paying 4,000 Ghana cedis comparing to paying times 500, there's vast difference between that. So right now I don't know how things will end. Yeah, I don't know. Just much frustrated.
What level are you in?
300 now.
Okay. And where do you come? Where do you stay? Where are you living?
Kaswa Bojuase. Even from that place to this side, unless you board a car from Bojuase to Kaswa, if you board another car from Kaswa to Madina or Legon.
Those were some continuing students of the Commonwealth Hall engaging City News' Akosua Otre on the University of Ghana campus. Let's stay with education because the Ghana Education Service has dismissed a student of the Chiana Senior High School in the Kasina Nankana West District of the Upper East region for derogatory comment against President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It will be recalled that the A student in a viral video was seen making disparaging comment against the president and the Free Senior High School policy. However, after investigations into the conduct of the student, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa, in a letter dated November 29, 2022, dismissed all the A students from the school. Let's now go onto the phone lines and speak to the Executive Director of Education think tank Africa Education Watch. He is in the person of Mr. Kofi Asare. Mr. Asare, thank you for joining us on the Citi Prime News. We know that this is not the first time some students have been dismissed for making such comments against the president. And what will you say is accounting for this particular development?
I think this is the first time, to the best of my knowledge, that students have been dismissed for insulting the president. The last time, it was reversed at the instance of the president. And so, for now, this is the first time that we are having this. I think that our schools are institutions of learning not just academics, but also morals. Now, to facilitate learning, rules and regulations are in place and must be enforced to ensure that teachers and school managers who have the responsibility of running these schools run them effectively and deliver, generate quality outcomes. And so when such rules are broken, by students, the sanctions must apply so that we don't create a situation where our schools become a den of indiscipline. That has been the case for some time now. And so I have no reason not to support the decision to sanction the students for participating in that despicable act of misconduct. I think that we shouldn't encourage such behavior at all in our schools. We should be strict on discipline in our senior high schools.
So are you satisfied with the dismissal? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I am satisfied that the students have been sanctioned by the school authorities and the sanctions upheld by the Ghana Education Service. I am not privy to the considerations that the committee that exacted the sanctions, had in terms of the enormity of the offences. So I'm not able to comment on whether the dismissal is the best or whether it's high-handed or it's okay. But I'm happy that a sanction has been applied. And I'm happy to see sanctions being applied in schools whenever students flout existing regulations without any interference from external actors outside of the school. We should give teachers the free hand to run our schools and implement the rules and regulations in the schools so that we can expect teachers to have the tools they require to produce disciplined students from our secondary school system.
Well, Mr. Asari, if you read a statement from the Ghana Education Service, they said that the decision they have taken is to bring the desired change in the behavior of these students. Do you believe that the dismissal is the right way to go as far as this issue is concerned? Because I remember that there was pressure on the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, and even the President when that decision was taken some time ago, forcing the President to reverse the decision. This time around, are you also saying that the President should go ahead and reverse the decision? Because many will argue that the student cannot be denied access to education.
I don't think it's an issue of denial of access to education. We at Edward believe that every child of school-going age Ghanaian has the right to enroll and complete the full cycle of basic and secondary education. But within that context, there are rules and regulations. So the access to education should not be at the expense of the rules governing the management of educational institutions. Okay, there are sanctions, there are retributions, there are consequences. There are real consequences for actions undertaken, and so we should allow the schools to discipline the students. We are against anyone, whether the president or anyone from outside the school environment, interfering in the disciplinary processes of schools. It's not one of the ways to go. It breeds indiscipline. It also creates a situation where teachers give up on discipline. Okay, so interfering in the disciplinary process of schools has not in any way inured to enhancing discipline in our senior high schools and shouldn't be an option to be considered. We should rather applaud the schools management and the board for taking the girls through a long process of discipline, and then even providing counseling for the girls to prepare their minds for the process. If the girls in any way and their parents or other like-minded citizens feel that the process and the outcome is unfair, they have the right to appeal against the processes, or they can even go to court to seek a review of the decision. But so far as we are concerned, no one should interfere in the schools' attempt to enforce existing regulations to instill and uphold discipline in our schools. We must commend the school.
Well, Mr. Asari, the school took disciplinary action, and so the students were punished internally in the school. But this we are talking about is a dismissal by the Ghana Education Service.
The suspension was an interim measure. The suspension was an interim measure pending the conclusion of the processes. So the suspension was an interim measure. It wasn't a conclusive. It wasn't a definite suspension. So it was an interim measure. Okay, and so when they were suspended, disciplinary processes started, counseling started, students' minds were prepared so that they could go through the processes. And then they've been doing the various hearings and all those processes ever since the issue broke out. So this is the final decision of the school's board, not the GS. The GS only came in to endorse what it was requested to do. And by so doing, we see this as a final decision of the school. I think if there are other students in other schools who are minded to misbehave and talk anyhow and misbehave as if there are no rules in our schools, this should be a turning point in their lives. And I see this as deterrent enough to ensure that, one, students think twice when they are smuggling mobile phones to school, because the offense was actually facilitated with the aid of another banned item, mobile phone. So one, think twice when they are taking mobile phones to school, and two, they should be mindful of how they speak to elders, not just the president, but elders in our society. It is not part of our culture to be insulting elders, and we will not support anyone who insults elders. One person, if anyone insults others, even the head teacher, even the teacher, anyone, they must be brought to book so that we don't grow students within or with the culture of insulting the others. It is not our culture, and we shouldn't retain it at all in the name of any human rights.
Very well. We are grateful for your time. That's Executive Director of Education Think Tank, Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare.
Let's stay with the education sector, shall we? The Ghana National Council of Private Schools is pushing for the creation of a designated office at the Ministry of Education that will be solely responsible for private sector education in Ghana. The council maintains that it was time the government considered appointing a deputy minister of education in charge of the private sector following the increasing number of private schools in Ghana. Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, Enoch Kwesi Jetua, tells Citi News the proposal, when implemented by the government, will help to easily address issues in the sector.
When you look at the TVET, we have TVET, let's say, minister. How many TVET centers do we have in Ghana? You understand? And we have minister designated for general education. We are talking over 22,000 private schools in the country, holding about 42% in terms of enrollment in the private education space. Now, schools have been reopened. If you go to most of the schools, you can see the number of queue people are consuming, trying to enroll their children in the private schools. So if you have an office, a deputy, or let's say a designated government let's say office, charged being responsible for private education, then everything, the coordination between the government and the private school will be very, very intact, and it will enhance productivity in the private education space. We are talking of 300,000 teachers that this sector has employed. So it's very important the government appoint a deputy minister responsible for private education so that matters concerning private education can easily be resolved. Now parents are crying that the private schools have increased their school fees. They don't know where to go. They are running to media this morning, have to be in the media space to clarify all the issues. Why? Because they don't have any designated office to go and rectify their challenges as a Ghanaian. So we are making plea to the government that we appreciate this, but the government should come in, reconsider its decisions by appointing someone to be in charge of private schools so that all matters concerning private education can easily be addressed.
Mr. Jetua spoke during an educational leadership program for private school owners and teachers in Kumasi. He explains that the training aims to improve standards and also ensure compliance in the private education sector.
Schools saw the need that private schools have set up some kind of standards that we have to maintain. You know, the genesis of private education, as at the term 1960s, private schools came in strongly to set up schools and, let's say, manage schools, all because we were having capacity people, or let's say people who were very well noted to do that. Time passed by, we realized that there are a lot of people who have come in and the standards were falling. So as a council mandated to ensure standards and compliance in the private education sector, we decided to come out on our own to start school management training for our members. Government saw the need, and now government has cushioned by sponsoring 800 participants to go through this training, i.e. providing some kind of tuition fee, feeding, logistics and other things for them. Immediately from here, we have seen the need that UEW is also one of the institutions well noted for academic excellence. So we have signed an MOU with them to actually accredit this program and also issue certification to the schools owners and participants who are going through this program.
Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools, Enoch Kwesi Jetua.
We are still live here on the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM, coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. My name is Ni Latte here with Eno Safo. If you stay with us, we take you to the central region where the assistant headmaster of the Ekumfi Accra Methodist Basic School is currently receiving treatment after he was shot.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. In more news this hour, the Ghana National Fire Service will soon roll out a policy where all vehicle owners will be made to fix functioning fire extinguishers. The pilot exercise, which has begun in the Volta region, will see the checking of all vehicles at random checkpoints to inspect the availability of functioning fire extinguishers. According to the service, incidents of vehicular fires have been on the rise in recent times in the Volta region, prompting the piloting of the exercise in that region. Speaking to City News, the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO 1 Timothy Osafo-Efum, called on all vehicle owners to comply.
You realize that any issue concerning fires and how fires are managed are within the remit of the Ghana National Fire Service. In recent times, our statistics indicate that incidents of vehicular fires have gone up. As of December, I think vehicular fires were the fourth that we recorded. And if you look at it, we didn't understand why vehicular fires in particular should also go up around this particular point in time. And therefore, one of the reasons that we found was that, yes, the fires will start. How well are the drivers prepared to tackle or manage the fires? Now, if you look at vehicular fires, anytime we get to the incident scene where the fire is on, the vehicle is on fire, the vehicle is almost completely burnt out. And so, if you have these fire extinguishers at hand, and once the fire starts, you can deal with it. It will help in reducing the losses that we are experiencing as a result of these vehicular fires. And that is how come the regional commander for the Volta region said that because the incidence is high in his region, we want to implement this particular policy, which management has given him the blessing to continue. So what is going to happen is that it's not going to be only in the Volta region, it is going to be rolled out nationwide for every driver to comply with, because it is becoming too much in recent times, the number of vehicles that are lost to fire incidents.
Mr. Osafo-Efum also mentioned that fire incidents in the country have seen a reduction during the first 10 days of the year. Over 250 fire incidents were recorded in the last week of December 2022, as against the over 120 cases recorded in the first few days of the year.
Everything was going well until we started the Christmas holidays. Then all of a sudden, there was a steep jump in fire occurrences in the country. Now, with the help of you, the media, I think a lot of awareness was created, and so incidents started coming down. As of now, it has come down, but we still expect it to go down further in view of the extensive educational program that we have initiated. And so even though it has come down from the late December figures, and it is so high for our liking, and we want it to go down further. So for the first 10 days of the year, I think for the first 1 week, we recorded 126. So comparing to what we recorded in the last week of December, that we recorded in the region of 250 plus. You will see a reduction, but we are seeing that even that one, even though there is a reduction, it is so high, and we need to bring it down further.
Meanwhile, the fire officer who got injured during a fire outbreak on the premises of Rana Motors on the Graphic Road has been treated and discharged. Here is ACFO 1 Timothy Osafo-Efum again.
That night, he was rushed to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The doctors did their best to stabilize him. And so by morning, he was stable. Then in the afternoon, we were asked to take him home for him to be coming for further treatment. So after yesterday in the afternoon, he was discharged and sent home from the hospital.
Well, he's also been speaking about investigations into the fire that gutted 2 wood instructors at Mata Hekoma's business school here in Accra on Tuesday. The service says the body of a 1-year-old baby who was burnt in the incident has been deposited at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital morgue.
Investigation began that particular night. We were not conclusive, but we suspected that a candle or mosquito coil might have been the cause of the fire. The building was a wooden structure that was used as a residential facility. It said that some investigations are easy to complete. Others too may take some time. So normally we don't want to pressure the investigators to complete their reports. So let's wait for them to take their time and do a very good job for all of us.
ACF 01 Timothy Osafu Efum speaks for the Ghana National Fire Service.
A 35-year-old assistant headmaster of a Kumfiakra Methodist Basic School, who also doubles as the local secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers in their Kumfi district of the Central Region, has been shot. Reports gathered indicate that the teacher, Shadrach Frimpong, was shot in the early hours of Wednesday, January 11, when he went into a nearby bush to attend to nature's call. Some unknown persons fired at him in the bush, hitting his left eye. It is, however, unclear the motive behind the attempt on his life. Here's the father of the victim, Richard Anaman, narrating the incident to Citi News while charging the police to arrest the perpetrators of the crime.
We are saddened as a family to hear that some individuals attempted to kill our son. We want the police to get to the bottom of the matter. But what I know is that he had earlier on caned a student and later suffered some challenges with his hand. But I pray they are not the ones behind this attack on his life. His two hands have been affected, but we are hoping for the best.
You heard father of the teacher who was shot at a Kumfi in the Central Region, Richard Anaman.
From the Central Region, let's go to the Volta region, because some members of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools in the region want the government to implement policies to cushion private schools as they are faced with challenges in paying teachers. A former deputy director of the GES and member of the Association of Private Schools, Lawrence Koku Yevudoko, said taxes being paid are overwhelming and thus affecting the payment of salaries to teachers. He has also called on the Education Ministry to revamp the sector and make academic activities a practical-based one.
Especially with the private schools, government is not trying at all. It's looking at the public schools more than the private schools. Meanwhile, all these children are Ghanaian children. Government needs to help us. They are rather loading us with taxes. Because for our school, for instance, we make every effort. Because looking at the population, every month we have to get money to pay the teachers, just to let the school survive. You see? But when they come, they have to collect tax. Last year, for instance, will come to collect tax. Last year, we paid 600 cedis. Meanwhile, we have to pay our teachers. We have to feed the children. And some parents even don't pay school fees. A parent here is owing about 3,000 and over. And this, looking at this situation and looking at even the children, about 3 children in the school, how can you, if you sack them, you are rather killing them. So the government should come in. Sometimes they have to help the private schools improve upon their situations.
Lawrence Koku Yevudoko is a former GES deputy director and a member of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools.
The National Democratic Congress in the Yendi constituency in the Northern Region is questioning some achievements attributed to the Member of Parliament for the area, Farouk Aliu Mahama. The party has described some of the projects attributed to the MP as pure fabrications and lies and has dared the NPP party and the MP to show evidence of the projects. Communication Officer of the NDC for Yendi constituency, Adam Halid, says most of the projects were initiated before the tenure of the current MP.
He talked of the construction of one bridge at one village called Babylon. When you come and look at that bridge, it marvels you. It saddens my heart that such bridge, nobody, during the rainy season up to date, nobody has use the bridge to cross, because most of the community members suffered during the rainy season. Yet they capture it as part of their achievement, constructing it, and subsequently saying that it has aided the constituents from transporting their foodstuff from their communities to wherever they want to go, which is not the case. Again, they have attributed some developmental projects such as the Yendi Astroturf and that of the sports complex. In fact, such projects were executed way back in 2018-2019, when the MP itself was not even a member of parliament or a parliamentary candidate then. So sometimes some of these things have gone scot-free, and we thought it that we should not at any time allow such things to be happening in our body politics. We are not saying that the MP is not doing what is expected in terms of what his party people are interested in. But where there is no need for you to attribute any developmental projects to him, just state it as it is.
Adam Halid is the NDC communication officer for Yendi, the new patriotic party in the constituency. Reacting to the allegations by the NDC, says the MP lobbied for most of the projects to be completed and deserves to be credited. Nashiru Abdul Karim is the Yendi NPP constituency secretary.
Project has a beginning point and that of the completion point. So you may start a project and it may stall. So anybody who has hands in it to make sure that it has completed, the credit must go to him. So if he was an MP who did not bother and the work were not going and he did not follow up to make sure that the work progresses, I don't think the work would have completed. So for that matter, he has hands in how the work progresses to the end. And therefore, we have every right to attribute that achievement to him as a member of parliament for Yendi.
You have indicated that if people started the project or initiated it, they should be credited. Did you give credit to any of his predecessors who initiated some of the projects?
Yeah, actually, in the release, we did not mention those who initiated it. We only talk of what he did as a member of parliament in relation to some of the projects that we have seen being completed in Yendi. If I was asked to mention those who initiated it, that would have been another thing. But our release was not about who started it, but those who persisted and wait for it to be completed.
You heard the Yendi NPP constituency secretary, Nashiru Abdul Karim.
Let's go to the Hafu region now, because the Domahene Osajefo Osiadeyo Ajimambiri II has called on the police to thoroughly investigate and prosecute persons involved in the death of one person and the injury of 5 others in a chieftaincy dispute at Boma. Following the dispute on Sunday, the Hafo Regional Security Council imposed and reviewed a curfew on the community from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Addressing the media, the Domahene said the arrest of the culprits will restore calm to the community.
Customary, as far back as October, I've activated to Domahema, to the kingmakers of the stew, so they know, everybody know. That's why the people started doing that. Then, Sunday, Makwa Aprapra within the community, no issue. Or Hema as Boma Hema on Impeninfo, Doma Impenin, they have gone to perform church service, non-denominational church service for a year. They even went and continued with the funeral. Then, Adebiaba, what is happening? On Sunday, because you drama, because you didn't say a see him the Monday. About somewhere by 11, I overheard the barking of a dog consistently for about 1 hour. I didn't understand. Then, only to wake up 5:30 a.m. for them to say, there is curfew on Boma. And I said, what? This is strange. What curfew? It's surprising because we were in town. We never heard there's any issue. So they brought this one. I saw it as a ploy too. In fact, when they said somebody had died, I was even denying who died. Because none of our people had gone missing. Nobody has gone missing. It's not in my DNA to cause even injury to anybody. So if somebody has died, I'm calling on the security agencies to go to the bottom of this matter and delve into as to who did it. In order not to get a bad name, I want the security agencies to go to the investigate as to who did this.
That was the Domahene Osajifo Oseadeyo Ajiman Bedu II.
And a cross-circuit court has denied a request for an arrest warrant for self-styled evangelist Patricia Siedu, known as Nana Grada, despite her failure to appear in court on Wednesday. Nana Grada, who is on trial for counts of charlatanic advertisements and defrauding by false pretense, did not show up in court on Wednesday for two separate cases she's standing trial for. Prosecutor in the case, where she's alleged to have swindled some members of her church, asked for the arrest warrant to compel her appear in court. But lawyer for Nana Grada prayed the court against the request as his client was not in good health. The judge, after considering the arguments, rather cautioned the lawyer of Nana Grada to make sure his client is always in court.
This is the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, Ghana Revenue Authority to address concerns over the wrongful overcharging of the revised 1% e-levy.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Fine, anyone can become the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YouGoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win.
Contact us on 0555 222490.
YouGoFlip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Counting a population of over 1.4 billion people, a vast wealth of natural resources, and brilliant minds, welcome to Africa, where our collective prosperity is very much achievable. This is why the Africa Prosperity Network, under the auspices of the President of the Republic of Ghana and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, presents the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, dubbed the Kwewu Summit. From the 26th to the 28th of January 2023, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will host some of his colleagues, heads of state, over 500 business leaders and social sector leaders on the continent and in the diaspora for the Africa Prosperity Dialogues. Themed AFCFTA from ambition to action, delivering prosperity through continental trade. Register at www.africaprosperitynetwork.com.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. In more stories this afternoon, organized labor will later today continue with negotiations with the government over their demand for an increment in the base pay of the single-spine salary structure. Both factions have for 8 meetings failed to reach a consensus over the increment. Organized labor has since the commencement of negotiations been demanding for a 60% pay pays increase. According to them, the demand is as a result of the harsh economic conditions which have compounded the woes of its members. The government, on the other hand, has argued that the union to consider the current fiscal factors and drastically reduce their demand. Citi News sources show that the union, as of the 8th meeting, had called for 35% base pay increase, while government led by the Labour Ministry is considering a 25% increase. The two parties are expected to continue negotiations later today, January 12, 2023.
Now, the Ghana AIDS Commission has spent over $300 million on HIV response treatment. The Commission maintains that most of the financing comes from both international and domestic donors as government is unable to meet its expected targets. Speaking to Citi News, the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Treme Tuahine, said the overdependence on international sources in financing the national HIV response continues to persist.
2023
2019, 2020, 2021, we spent more than $300 million. Now, in 2021, for example, we spent nearly $130 million. Overdependence on external sources for HIV financing is nothing new. Right from the beginning of the epidemic, external donors have continued to bear the chunk of the cost of the HIV program. It was almost 100% in the early days. Over the last decade, we have seen a big shift from donor funding for AIDS programs to domestic funding because donor funding, especially from bilateral sources apart from the U.S. government, reduced by 57% over the last decade. And so we are seeing a big shift where donors are now asking government to pay from domestic sources about 60% of the cost of HIV program.
You heard the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Treme Tuahine.
Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, is poised to address concerns of mobile money customers who might be overcharged following the introduction of the 1% levy on electronic transfer. The reduction of the electronic transfer levy, e-levy, from 1.5 to 1% commenced yesterday. A member of the e-levy technical committee at the GRA, Opoku Efrie Asante, says adequate measures have been put in place to deal with challenges with the revised levy. There is more in this report.
Several calls have been made by various stakeholders within the mobile money sector for government to revise the levy after it was introduced. The levy had failed to meet all its revenue targets since its introduction, with players in the telecommunication space raising concerns over the practicality of running an effective mobile money service with a levy in place. After the implementation of the levy, telecommunication companies registered over 300,000 loss of mobile money subscribers in April 2022. Government in 2023 budget noted that the levy will be revised and it will be implemented this year. General Secretary for the Mobile Money Agents Association of Ghana, Evans Otunfo, says the new percentage will impact the mobile money business positively.
It is basically something that we have been expecting for long, right from the inception of the e-levy policy. We have been calling for a further, review, that is a reduction of it. And so if this time is the opportune time for the implementation of a reviewed policy, then it comes as a good news to us, especially having to wrestle with a burden from the 1.5% since the levy went live. It is a good news to the business, the consumer, even though we have been advocating and expecting that the levy could further be reduced down. I think it is a step in the right direction, as we are expecting that people, that is the consumer, will actually see that the burden of e-levy has actually been taken down.
A member of the e-levy technical committee of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, Opoku Efrie Asante, has assured that his outfit is poised to address concerns of mobile money customers who might be overcharged following the introduction of the 1% levy on electronic transfer.
I'd like to assure the general public the Commissioner General is doing all that he can, and if there are any system glitches, the GRA will be there to reimburse. So we have a procedure for refund. If you are wrongfully deducted, there are procedures in place for you to receive the refunds. So, for example, last year when we went live, we realized that some entities were having system glitches. And for that reason, we made sure, or we insisted that all those who were affected had their funds or had their monies refunded to them. So even if in the event that there should be some challenges in the beginning, the GRA would ensure that everyone who was affected is reimbursed for that amount that they were wrongfully deducted. So what I'd like to say is that because the e-levy rate has been reduced, we hope that a lot more people will buy into electronic transfers so that we can recruit more revenue for the state for the purposes of development.
Here are some customers of mobile money sharing their views on the revised e-levy charge.
As a consumer of the platform, I would say our leaders have done well a bit by reducing it to that 1%. Although it's not all the best, but it's better than when it was 1.5%. So as a user of it, I think they are doing something in one way or the other for us to continue using the mobile money platform. Moreover, it's like bribing Peter to pay Paul. It seems like the VAT too has increased. So it's really the same people who are using this money here and there. So if you reduce it in mobile money and you're still increasing the VAT, I think it's still the same, but they've done well a bit by reducing it to 1%. Personally, the reduction is going to help me to use the platform because we are in a transition where digital money is the new order. So personally, whether I like it or not, I'm going to use it. But the 1% will also in one way help me to use it as compared to first. But my problem is the VAT increment.
The 1% is like the same as the old one because I don't see any difference. Because if at least I just came for my money, I see it's like the same thing. So as for me, I want the government to use us like the same old one. Not 1%, 0, yeah, 0%, yeah.
The 1%, no, I cannot change government's mind, you understand? I cannot do anything to it. If I'm not in support of it, I cannot do anything, and government will not do anything about it. So, unless me, I will say that I'm not in support of it, I don't like it.
Though government has reduced the 1.5% on e-levy to 1%, stakeholders in the industry are still asking that there should be a further reduction. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Philip Latte.
Now, tension is still brewing within the National Democratic Congress in the Asawase constituency of the Ashanti region as the constituency chairman, Faisal Dauda, is accusing the Member of Parliament, Muntaka Mubarak, of allegedly hiring thugs to gun him down. Speaking at a news conference, Faisal Dauda also alleged that the NDC Member of Parliament for the area has connived with the New Patriotic Party to cause the NDC's downfall in the 2024 general elections.
My life has been in threat since the day one that Honorable Muntaka planned to impeach me for my treasure. There was a time Honorable Muntaka, the constituency organizer, the constituency vice chairman, the constituency chairman had a meeting in his office at Ababu Post Office, the library premises, that they went and invited some bad boys and gave them a message that they should hunt the constituency deputy youth organizer, including me. They should gun me anytime, anywhere they get me, because they know that I have a gun in me. So anytime they meet me, they should make sure that they will finish me immediately before I get them on board. I get back to attack them. Those threats and all those things, there are audios pertaining those things I'm saying today. All those things are passed through. Even before this meeting comes on, he even told the constituency organizer and the vice chairman, which I had a video to share with you too, to come to our constituency meeting on last Wednesday with macho men and some miscreants to disrupt our meeting so that he will be in the constituency in the weekend, so that whatever I'm going to do, we are going to discuss at the meeting as an agenda will not come on.
Faisal Dauda is the Asawase NDC constituency chairman. The office of the Member of Parliament has outrightly dismissed the allegations and has called on the Interior Ministry and the Ghana Police Service to investigate it. Abdul Haq is a secretary and an aide to the Member of Parliament, Muntaka Mubarak.
When you allege you support your facts with evidence, he only invited media men and then speak anyhow to them. The way he was even addressing the press conference, He lacks the sobriety and candor in even speaking with a person in a manner the person is going to appreciate. If you take the history of our constituency since its inception, anytime we are going for a constituency primary, some of these things usually do arise. I can tell you, the more deeper it gets, the more appreciable a number of votes, gets as far as, general election is concerned. So, Mwana Mutaka, has never been afraid of election because he has always been putting himself up and he's a believer of democracy and he has been successful throughout. In 2018, when the issue came up, the Duajao committee was in charge. They declared on Mutaka and then he went unopposed. We are of the view that if you are a party leader and then you have difficulty, as he claimed, with the member of parliament, there are constitutions of the party. There are mechanisms that you need to exhaust internally. He made allegations that, Mwana Mutaka is conniving with certain MPP stalwarts. What I will do is that I would like to draw the attention of the Interior Minister, the IGP, and the Ghana Police in general to take him on.
Abdul Haq is secretary and an aide to the Member of Parliament, Muntaka Mubarak.
Now, the Ahafo Regional Minister George Yabuachi is urging indigenes and non-indigenes of the area to consider investing in the Ahafo region. The minister believes the region holds potential in the tourism and agribusiness sector. George Yabuachi made the appeal during the maiden Ahafo Homecoming Festival held in Bichim. Citi News' Michael Saponinfum reports.
The maiden Ahafo Homecoming Festival, which was under the theme Mobilizing Resources for Rapid Development of Ahafo, brought together chiefs and indigenes of Ahafo region. The festival, an initiative of the chiefs and some indigenes of the Ahafo region, is to garner resources to initiate developmental projects in the region. This is to complement the efforts of government in bringing development into the region. Kingsley Owusu-Echang is one of the brains behind the Ahafo Homecoming Festival.
We thought that Ahafo, once we've been able to get our own region, we should get something to bring us together and not only to make fun, but to think about development of Ahafo region. We want this festival, Ahafo Homecoming Festival, which is going to be an annual thing, rotating through the district, the various districts, to grow to the level of the Kwau Easter. That is one thing about it. Knowing ourselves, meeting ourselves, thinking together for a developmental projects in the Ahafo region, and also seeing that we are one people from the same region. We envisage that within the next 10 years, this festival will grow into a very, very big festival.
The Ahafo Regional Minister, George Yabuachi, on his part, called on the indigenes and non-indigenes to come and invest in the Ahafo region.
The greatest problem confronting us now is youth unemployment. So my advice and appeal to Ahafo citizens and non-citizens abroad and home is that they should come and invest in Ahafo, either in tourism or in agro industry. So my advice to them is that they should continue to be united so that we'll be able to push the development of the region forward.
Some indigenes of the Ahafo region also commended the chiefs and organizers for the initiative.
What I would say is a very good move on the part of the chiefs. In fact, God bless them for the initiative that they've taken. We all know that the government can't do everything all by, let me say, himself in this case. But since we have leaders, we have chiefs, we have rich people in the community, when we all come together and then invest, it becomes a very good opportunity for the youth like us to have something to do in order not to move to the big cities to see greener pastures. Once they invest here, we will stay and then we'll make our communities a better place to be.
I think it's a good way to go. If you look at the terrain now in Ghana, government alone cannot do everything. Yeah, it's time we all come together and initiate things. And I'm looking forward that this thing that the chiefs have started, they can survey Ahafo into developmental areas so that they can look at the various districts and locations where they can site a project
Indigenes from the Ahafo region have been admonished to join the development drive of the region by investing in agribusinesses and tourism. From Bechim, I am Michael Saponifum for Citi News.
Here in Accra, I am Ni Lati.
And I am Inu Safo.
That's it for today's edition of the Citi Prime News.
City 97.3. More variety. City 97.3. Accra. Get the details. Every significant financial transaction. Every market move.